want to welcome you to this month's life group session. We thought we would do something a little different this month as a staff and try to give you some understanding of how we go about preparing and getting you ready for our life group. We have been looking in the Gospel of Matthew during our life groups, and today we're in Gospel of Matthew chapter number 5. We're going to begin with verse 43. I just want to read it, and then we're going to make some comments as we get into this. It says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. For he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and on the unjust." Certainly the people that heard Jesus knew what he was talking about because they knew the law, and the law clearly stated that they were to love their neighbor. But it didn't say that they were to hate their enemy. That was something that they perceived on their own. And if you look at this, you got to understand that neighbor here was anyone who believed like them. It was their fellow countrymen. It was their fellow Jews. So what Jesus was saying here is you don't have a problem loving the people that are like you, that are the same culture as you, that talk like you, that do the things you want them to do. But you do have a problem loving your enemy. And I want to pose to our staff today, what do you think he meant when he said enemies? You know, who are our enemies? Is our enemies people that have different religious views than us? Is it our enemies people that have different political views than us? Is it people that live in a different culture, people that don't dress like us, talk like us? With so much hatred and violence in our world today, and I preached about it, about us being tolerant. What do you think Jesus was talking about when he said, don't just love your neighbor and hate your enemy, but we are to love our enemy? Who do you think the enemy is? And give you an opportunity. What do you think, staff, when he was talking about our enemy?
I think part of that interpretation can be basically anybody, and you alluded to that in part of your discussion there, or your question. People that think differently than we do. You know, a lot of times we want to associate with those that are like-minded, and it's like when we have a difference of opinion, a lot of times we put up those barriers, those walls that try to separate us and exclude them from being a part of our lives. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fear of, helping us to defend what we believe or why we believe what we believe. And so therefore we get a little intimidated by that, and we put those walls up, those barriers up to kind of shield ourselves, so to speak. But inadvertently, we create that divide, that division between us, just because of some personal insecurities or things that would cause us to doubt something about ourselves.
How hard is it to love and accept people that aren't like you, that don't see things the way you do?
I think, like Pastor JR said, it's a little intimidating, and I think whenever we look like, just in our nation alone, we feel attacked by different political agendas or even different influences in our culture that attack our morals and our beliefs and even our doctrine just as Christians. And it's a little intimidating, and it stirs such fear and such angst in us that it's hard for us to see the soul that Christ died for. You know, I love in the verse where it says that he reigns on the just and the unjust. And I think sometimes we see ourselves as we're the ones he loves and cares about, and he doesn't care about the ones that are against us, when instead he died for all, not just for those that accept him, but he died for the ones that would never accept him. And so we've got to learn to love them and to pray for them. And I love in the NLT version, it says that when we're doing that, we're acting like the children of our Father in heaven. And so when we learn to get past our own insecurities or our own fears or our issues that we have with people that stand against us, and we can see the soul that Christ died for, we're praying for them, we're loving them, and truly praying the will of the Father to happen and not our own.
You know, we hear so much today about our enemies as a nation, and we're supposed to be a religious nation. But when's the last time we've prayed for those people that want to hurt us and persecute us and hurt our children and hurt our nation. When's the last time we prayed for, let me just use an example, the Muslim people? And they have an agenda that they want to harm. Or when's the last time we prayed for people like the leader of North Korea that might want to bring harm to us, and those that persecute us, and those that bring evil to us? That's being the true followers of Christ. You know you're a true follower of Christ and disciple when you can pray for those very people that despise you and hate you and see things differently than you. It's not just the person that you're driving down the freeway going to Fort Smith and they cut you off, or someone, curses you out in our society today. And we say, well, you're not going to treat me like that. I think it's much more broader than that. And I believe that's what Jesus was talking about here. And I believe when we handle that properly, as Pastor Megan said, it causes us to be a reflection of our true Father. Yeah. Anybody else got anything they want to add?
Well, and I think it's sometimes it's easier to get in a mindset of praying that God would change their minds in the sense of changing the outcome to benefit us instead of just praying for the person, praying that they would experience the real love of God and that God would come in and change their lives from a point of them being able to have that relationship, so that God would save them and restore them, instead of just praying for God to change their mind for an outcome that benefits us. It's truly praying for that person's soul so that they would experience the love that God came to offer them.
And ultimately, one of the things that I pulled from this scripture when I did research was that we don't want to mess up and violate what God has requested of us. We want to make sure that we are loving people, good or bad or indifferent, at all times.
You got anything to add to this? Oh, you just came along for the ride, huh? So yeah. Well, what we wanted to do today, he just came to get on TV. What we wanted to do today is just give you a little understanding of how we go about to prepare you for our life groups. And so what we want you to do right now is take what we've said and build on it. And we always give you 3 things. First thing we want you to discuss today is share an incident in your own life or something that's happened to you that you've had to put this principle into practice because it would have been easy for you to not love or not show the true children of the Father, as he talks about. And it's maybe something personally that's happened to you. And then secondly, what we'd like for you to do is you just go around the room and share what you think this scripture means. That's what we've done, kind of just sharing with you our basic understanding of what Jesus was talking about. And let's just open up the scripture. And we would like for many of you to share that tonight and get involved. And then finally, this evening, we want you to tell us, or tell each other, I guess I should say, how can we apply this? How can we do better? How can we be the true children of the Father and be a reflection? It's so easy to love people that love you back, but it's very hard to love people that don't care anything about you, that even hate you. And so in a day of hatred and violence all around us, not just here in our local community and in our nation, but around the world, how can we be true children of the Father? So we thank you for being a part of this life group tonight. We appreciate you, and we hope that you enjoy for the next few moments your discussion in this matter.